Garden's still terrible, but life is good because I'm just going to be trying a new technique. This is another test session. I'm just going to get into the good old, close that off, go to mine, yeah, close player, you, and then I go into this. Sorry, I'm just going into my YouTube and finding me, which is kind of weird. Okay, so collect that, play that. Now, probably I'm on the audio. Okay, good. Yeah, play. No, we play it on here. Honestly, disconnect. There we go. Hello. This is the bit where we play. Ah, dear. Oh, good. Excellent. I'm just going to turn this down now because I've got better things to do than hear feedback. Fold back, sorry. No feedback. Whatever. Now let's see where that's ended up. It's part of the experimental process. Not bad, not good, but not bad. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll very quickly just make some adjustments. If I push that in a bit. There we go. I might even need a longer screw. How does that go now? Not quite, not quite, not quite, not quite. Okay. So I actually have to go in a bit here. How's that? Right, now push it out a bit. How does one do that? It has to, yeah. How's that? No, it doesn't change things, does it? So what will I do? Like, I suppose I could just move the, I think I can move this thing a bit anyway. How's that? And then I can just kind of zoom it in a bit. If we zoom it in a bit, what do we get? Okay, I'll move back a bit further. This will cause me problems later because I'll have drainage issues. But that'll be alright. For the sake of you guys, I'm prepared to deal with drainage issues. Aren't I such a saint? Alright. So what have we got here? Is that as good as it gets? Come on, you can do better than that. Whilst we're waiting for the stream to catch up, I'll plug in the sound. I suppose this changes the whole dynamic now that I've plugged the microphone in. Just my luck, probably. There we go. Let's have a look at where it is. Has it swapped the camera around? No, it hasn't. Alright, I have to zoom out again. Come on, stream, move forward. Yep, that's where we need to be. Right. Zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, wherever you are. Alright, so let's have a look at what is going on. I'm just going to have to turn on the feedback machine just to see if we're getting good sound. So, are we getting good sound? We are. Excellent. Look. Okay. One last thing. So this is my setup for opal polishing. I'll show it to you in a second once I've got my torch. Priorities. So basically what I've been doing is not hard, it's just been, I made the same caddy attached to my polishing booth. Ordinarily what I do is I push this right across and then I put my hands into the slots like so. And so that means that I've got adequate usage of the opal machine without any dust getting into my precious little lungs. But what I think is, because I've got a lot of water today, I probably won't have a dust issue. If I do, I'm going to have to sacrifice the quality because there's no point in me doing this in a dangerous way, because you're not going to, if you're like me, you're not going to see me for too long. If I'm dead. So let me just, I'll hook this light on as well, so we've got all of the lights. So what's our final button to press? Hopefully I've connected everything up correctly. Where is it? Here, I think. Look at that. This is much more sedate and gentle than my other opal parts, and this is my water delivery system. So what I've got here, a little groove here, just goes right into the side of the device so that I can get the sides of the opal done properly. This is the bit where having a perfect cab is important. Still bowing out a bit in the sides, if you can see that. You bring it right up. Where's the camera hole? It is there, right. So we'll worry about the colour later, but the shape is what's most important at the moment. Now there's plenty of advice, and I'm not going to be one to tell you exactly what advice to take on how to dop your opals, but this is slightly skew-if, and that will actually affect my result. I've got to account for the fact that the opal is dopped slightly wrong. It's more annoying than you think, and it's more devastating than you think. Right, let's have a look. Seems at the moment that the water is going into the correct spot too. So, what do you reckon? Yeah, so it's still a bit thick on this side. Now let's see if I can use the camera for best effect. See if I can spot any defects, or is it going to not play ball? It's very hard to sort it out. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to use the microscope, which is just over here. Sorry about this, just using the microscope. A little bit tougher, but I've got all sorts of things in the way. Matter of fact, seems the easiest spot. I'll show you what I'm doing. So I'll take this out here, and you can actually see just over there. Microscope there, and straight. That's not good. I just dropped all of my opal rubs. I'll pick them up. So we're continuing in the tradition of everything not going well. It's like a game of cards, 52 pick up. Alright, pick them all up. So I'm just going to move the ones from my immediate vicinity, and then I'll pick the rest up later, because I don't think that it's a particularly interesting live stream watching me just pick opals up off the floor. I've got a sweeperator here, haven't I? Yes, I do. Okay. I try not to make it scratch the opals, but they really are quite durable, so you can kind of sweep them up if they're semi-polished. It's not a big deal. I might have to have a poll. One day, do you think I'll ever have a live stream in which something doesn't go wrong? Or is that kind of half the fun? I don't know. What will I do? Just grab this. And what kind of contingencies would you plan for? If you were me, how would you cope with all of the disasters that occur? I'm not getting all of them, I just want to make sure that I don't step on any opals. So, that's about as many as I'm going to do. Clean them up later. As the evening wears on, I'm sure I'll pick up a few more. Alright. Just getting rid of this immediate workspace stuff. Can't believe I dropped those opals. It's because I moved the microphone cable over to a different side, and I usually keep that little jar of rubs just there. It's quite convenient. It's quite accessible, as you can see. It's accessible by anything, including something that would do it some damage. Alright, moving on. So this was quite the honker. And I thought I might just quickly do this one, but it's actually a very inappropriate level of completion to grit size, so I might actually give up on this one. But we'll see. See that beautiful colour shining through? Or can you? Who knows? So just in case, there are people who like doing the finer jobs, the finishing jobs. There are people who like doing the cutting jobs. I'm a guy who likes doing the initial cut, which means that I have this massive, massive backlog of opals that need to be finished. So if I don't do that backlog, I'll just have opals everywhere. And they're not valuable as they are. Well, they sort of are, as rugs. But getting them to a level where they're saleable, or you can put them into a piece of jewellery or whatever, gifts for Christmas, whatever it is, that's the aim of the game. And so I thought I'll kill two birds with one stone, show the equipment that I'm using, demonstrate how easy it is to spill opals on the floor. Also, polish them up. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to move my chat over here. So if someone happens to show up, I will be ready for them. So, what's about? What about here? That's a good spot. What about here? I don't think that was my proudest moment musically. Fortunately, no one's on. I'm kind of glad you're here to see this one come good though, because it's an absolute corker. I am going to have to use a coarser grit for that one, so we'll move on to some other ones. I'll grab that one off the microscope once I figure out what it's doing. Looking good. Right, so here's one. This one isn't as great, it just needs to be finished. The idea is to make sure that there's no obvious flaws on the stone. Make sure the stone is in good shape. This one has only got a few interesting little sections of colour on it, as far as I can tell. A few chunks of purple. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, it could be brighter. We've got to make some executive decisions. Because this thing is not that great in opal, you probably shouldn't be spending all that much time on it. So if it's got a few little gashes in it, well, it's never going to sell for much anyway. It's here where you have to make the decisions of, do you have a reputation for quality, etc., etc., and do you want to Do you want to sell a dodgy opal in the first place? And my answer is, all opals have a right to be worn. I think they're all beautiful in their own way. I sound very opal woke, don't I? Now there's a good hashtag, opal woke. Now the way that you polish this at this stage obviously determines the shape. At the moment, because what I'm doing is I'm essentially running it round once on the corner, going around here, and occasionally, very occasionally, doing some small circles, so you'll have a little bit of curvature on the stone. It'll be mostly flat. There will be kind of like a little band around the corners of it, a flat band. I like the flat band, but I'm pretty certain that a lot of people think it's essentially a newbie mark. In order to get rid of that flat band, if you really don't want it, you have to just I don't care that much. It's depending on who you're going for. There's people who have certain preferences. I wonder how many people like the newbie band or try to get rid of it. I'm also trying to figure out if it's actually got just a small piece of reflection or... Oh, isn't that interesting? Don't know. I always say isn't that interesting to things that most people don't find interesting, so I have a natural zest for life. I'm very, very curious, and that's a good thing in some respects, but it's a very bad thing in others. Here I am putting the newbie band back on. One of the reasons for that is I noticed that there's actually some opal just a little bit further down, which I might be able to access just by polishing it down a bit. And so I'm just checking in the newbie band to see if there is some. And that there is. So what we'll do is we'll just gently carve it down. We don't have, you know, we've got ages. We can take our time with these things. And take our time we shall, because this is 4,000 grit paper. And the further down we go, the more interesting it gets. Only I found this out in the Dremel stage, not in the near final polish stage. What I'm currently doing is just... I'm putting a bit of a curve, a slight dome onto it because it's turning out to be... It's not uber valuable, but it's a little bit better than I expected it to be, so I'm just making it look a little bit nicer. Where did I put that drink? There it is. Parched. I know in the northern hemisphere it is very, very cold. I heard it's been snowing in Ukraine, those poor buggers who are fighting. Over here, we start to get some pretty warm days. We'll be starting to move into the 100 Fahrenheit range, I think we'll find. We're not quite there yet, we're probably in the 80s and 90s. For those people playing with Australian money, that's basically 20 to 40. If you don't know how each scale works, I can't remember exactly how the Fahrenheit scale works, but I do believe that 0 to 100 is essentially your livable human range. If you go much beyond 0, it's not survivable. That's the general idea. If you go much beyond 100, it's not survivable, with exceptions. The Celsius scale is much easier. Each degree is a percentage of the amount of energy it takes to boil water. So 100 degrees is boiling water, 0 degrees is freezing water. So as you can see, Celsius and Fahrenheit kind of overlap a little bit, but the human livable scale is a little bit smaller than the temperature range between ice and boiling water. So that means that the increments in Celsius are a little bit bigger than what you find in Fahrenheit. But another piece of trivia for those people who are really wanting to know, Fahrenheit and Celsius cross over, they're exactly the same temperature at negative 40 degrees, which means I use the rule of 40s to figure things out. It's not quite right, but pretty easy this way. Negative 40, both the same. What do I do then? I go 0 degrees Celsius. It is roughly 40 degrees Fahrenheit. 40 degrees Celsius is roughly 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So that makes life a little bit easier. Once you know that. Negative 40 Celsius and Fahrenheit are the same. 40 degrees Fahrenheit is 0 Celsius. 40 degrees Celsius is 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And when you Google it, you'll find it's not exactly right. I know. Just makes it easier to figure things out. So let's have a look at this bad boy. I think that's about the right amount of time to spend on it. Did you guys get a good look at it? Up. Come on, you can do this. To the left. Over. It's not spectacular opal anyway, so don't worry too much. Okay, look at this guy. Over here. This guy's more our style. Have a look at him. He's very small, but he's mighty. And he's ready to be shone up quite nicely. I don't think we're going to get him into cab configuration. I think he's going to have to be somewhere half between a triangle, a cab, and a drop. And that's okay. We'll have to call him freeform, not freefall. But having said that, I will be kind of using the muscle memory that I normally use for a drop. At the moment, I'm just making sure that all of the pits and flats are out of it. Once you start moving into more valuable jewellery, which this guy is, it's very small. They call them a pointer in the trade, which means point something of a carat. But nevertheless, this thing, depending on what happens, it can fetch a pretty penny in a ring or a pendant somewhere. So you can't muck around with it. Well, we can muck around with it. It's just that it'll become unsaleable, I suppose. We think that we go to all this trouble for just a little rock, huh? Justin from Black Opals Direct mentioned several times, you've got to get the sides right. I pride myself on the sides. Dad would be proud of that. So, seeing he is probably one of the better cutters around, and I don't know how the jealousy situation goes. Everyone could get on great, everyone could get on terribly. I know that the people that I talk to, we seem to get on okay. But seeing he's one of the better ones, I'm not going to say best or anything inflammatory. Seeing he pays attention to the sides, so will I. Yeah, I've tried tumbling rocks. I don't have a rock tumbler, would you believe? And when I pick up more ordinary stones, usually they're fossils. I'm sure that Jay is for genius. How are you, my friend? The other thing about opals, I'll show you these guys. These guys are actually tumbled. So that's kind of what they look like if you tumble them, and the only trouble is that they're a bit annoying in that they're essentially like a sedimentary rock with different layers of sediment in them, so they're differently brittle. Not exactly the greatest of tumbling material. Ah, sounds like you're somewhere in the southern hemisphere. So what I'm going to do, if you remember, you probably don't, I don't remember it, but my father used to tell me about his hobby, and it was a hobby apparently, making microscopes and making telescopes. He was a lens grinder by hobby. And they had these manuals that would say, you grind 100 times this way, 100 times that way, and they had these patterns for how you grind on the grindstone. Man, it sounds suggestive nowadays. But basically, that's how you made a good parabolic shape. And so I'm kind of doing the same thing. I'm just rotating in circles, spinning the stone, rotating it to try and get a nice smooth finish on it. It's amazing how long you can sit here and do this. It's hypnotic, it's cathartic, it's all the things, and sometimes you still don't have a good result. Drives you mad, but you know, c'est la vie. River stones near the beach. If you're in regional New South Wales, I'd be painting every river I saw. There are some nice stones around there. I've been up to the Newcastle region, that's where I get my fossils from. If I pick up any more rocks, my girlfriend will kill me. But yeah, I have tried to get into tumbling. And I have tried tumbling the opals. One of the things that I am thinking of doing is, where is it? Have you ever cleaned your teeth with one of those high pressure water jets? Well, I've got one of those set aside. I'm going to see if that does any good. Recently I've just been renovating all of the opal equipment, so I haven't had time to put anything new in. Okay. Into the groove it goes. You're right in that it's weird that we assign a particular value to one rock and not to another. Especially things like tigerite. Very beautiful stones. Why does diamond get to be in kingstone, etc., etc., etc.? I think there is still a small defect there. Sadly, I can see it. I think everything's okay except for that thing there. The trouble with getting these tiny little defects is sometimes your sense of appropriation is not up to the task of actually getting the exact spot. There we go. I can still feel the floor. I'm wondering, sometimes even these things are worth just selling with a small defect in them. I'm never one to sell these for huge prices anyway. Got to update my website because I've been selling an awful lot of opals privately. Most of them are gone. The ones on the website anyway. Look, there it goes. That's what happens when you take it out of the water stream. I'm going to gently heat it up with the friction again. Means that I don't have to re-dop it. I tried going early. It's still midnight, isn't it? No matter what I do, it's midnight, isn't it, Don? Pony is doing absolutely fantastic. And what I've decided is to spell the name of it differently. Spell it PWNY or PWNI. You know, because that's cool, hip, fab, and groovy. So you know how people say I've owned you with PWN? So I reckon that's how we'll spell it. Recent innovation. Yeah. So Don, have I have I liked all of your videos? You've come up with an absolute ton of them. Well, yes, it's all. Yeah, there you go, Puni. Just means that me, with my 46 years of age, you know, I'm still got the amazing young speaky speak happening. The reason why I was thinking that is because she's quite an aggressive little thing. She was attacking my daughter just not 1 hour ago. I checked my stats, Don, and apparently the majority of people who watch these videos I checked my stats and I found out that the majority of people who watch my videos actually watch it at 6 o'clock in the morning, my time. So I'll try. That's the best I can say. Okay, let's have a look at this. And yes, Don, that's sunlight you're seeing. That's looking pretty good, actually. I'll put that over into the polish pile. Yeah, well, I'm trying to do my best to keeping up with all of your videos. And I mentioned I like the idea of you actually timing the release and getting us to, you know, be notified, because that means that we'll all be able to get in there and like it immediately, which will actually boost your numbers in the... No, what has happened here? Boost your numbers. We should all be doing that. And all of the people that, you know, are friends or whatever else, they should understand the significance of getting on there as fast as possible. Yeah, I had Russia for a while. I think they followed my channel because how do I put this? I follow conflicts that may or may not be in Europe, and I do my best to keep the conversations truthful, and there may or may not be Eastern European countries that have a lot of resources put into people telling things that may not be as truthful as some people would like. No, it's brilliant. It's genius. It's genius, Don. Because the response that YouTube gives to a video is determined by how many people view it, like it, interact with it the moment it's released, right? So if we know what moment it gets released, we're ready, sitting there with our like buttons, ready to go. It's a brilliant idea. It's getting a few friends to game the system, which may well help us all to become much better. The other thing you can do then is, for example, if you've got the majority of your audience in Australia, well, you know for a fact that midnight is about 5-6 o'clock in the afternoon for us. So you just schedule the release for 1 a.m. or midnight or something like that. And that means the Aussies, we kind of get used to liking your videos at that time, or whatever. One thing I've noticed about you though is that I've been trying desperately to like an awful lot of videos from a lot of content providers, and a lot of them know and respect you, it's obvious. But quite frankly, you've done something right, Don. Now this one is Riley Gunn's opal, just so that you know. We'll wait for the sun to come out. This one, he said, was only good for just, you know, practicing carving. But I've had several of these ones that have turned out to be oh so much more. One sold for just north of $1,000. Or south of $1,000, depending. Below. Well, the thing about the live stream that I figured out is that that you don't use up any camera space. I have been trying to do longer form videos, but I just can't because I don't have the camera space to edit them. So what I'm thinking of doing is for a few of these ones, like the fossil opal video and one on COVID, believe it or not, I might actually just make a PowerPoint presentation and then stick that on and then put a few frills around to make it more interesting, but then just literally do a lecture live. Sucking up for years. I think playing the game, smile and wave, maybe is a more diplomatic way of saying that. I try to suck up, I just can't do it. So I'm just bending this forward. Yeah. The other thing that we'll do is don't worry about my channel, but make a playlist of your own. And so we'll interrogate your account, right, and find your playlist, and then when you're going to bed, just play someone's playlist. And I'll do the same. I'll make one for my channel, and if we all do that, that'll help us just to keep the view counts up. I think we have to be strategic in this day and age, Don. This one's definitely getting there. It's just every time you polish it a bit more, it just becomes more lovely. Let's look at it now. Can anyone see anything special about this one? Take a leaf out of Don's book. It's just shining too much. I'll bring it right up. Hopefully that'll do it. You barely see it. Oh well. Try the final nail in the coffin here. Hang on, here comes the sun. Wrong angle. Oh well. That's okay. I'll take some stills of it later on. It's a beautiful little stone. I put it on the oxide. Technically the oxide is actually a lower grit size than this one, but I think that it seems to make it pop. I think just because it melts into the crevices, it seems to work a bit better. I don't see any flaws in it, which is good. It's not quite the right shape, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. Okay, what have we got here? A drink, good. Okay, this one and that one I'm not doing. Oh, here's a boulder. A nice little boulder. So we'll get that one sorted out. Roll your gun, stood good rough. What we'll do is we'll turn that into some kind of top secret phrase. Did you know, roll your gun, nod nod wink wink, stood good rough. Oh yeah, stood good. Totally stood good. I hate my autocorrect. I absolutely hate it. I don't understand. Like, and sometimes you sit there and you correct it to the right word and it corrects it back. I don't know what BOD stands for, by the way. Sorry to be so ignorant. So let's try cupping my hands around this one. As you can see, there's quite a nice, oh, go me. Alright, so there's quite a lot to like about this one. We'll give this one a polish as well. They'll all get a polish. Great. Now a mud wasp has made a nest in my opals. There we go. Welcome to Australia, I say. This one is not necessarily the one I wanted. What did I do with it? Come to Australia. Might accidentally get killed. The brightness certainly was good. This one. That one I'll have to do some more work on. Nice enough stone, but needs a few tweaks. This one here, nice little greenie. Not much needs to be done to this one. I'll just, basically, I want to put it on the 4K to say I've put it on the 4K. Sometimes you see those little frustrations, like this one faces on the side a lot better than it faces on the top, but you know, what can you do? If I remember correctly, this was a very small seam. Bit of a chaff pattern there actually. A few reds sitting next to the green. Whoa! That's nice. We'll just give it a few more spins because it seems to be heading into a patch of red. So see if I can encourage that out of the stone. Yeah, not bad. Well, to be honest, I thought I was just going to go through the motions with this one, but it seems it was well worth doing. Just down there the red comes out. Now, what's its shine like? Are there any defects on it? Ordinarily I just head over to the microscope, but got too much equipment in the way. So what I can do instead of doing that, I'll just give it a few more turns on the paper just to make it sure. A few wide turns too. Ah! Why did you get a splinter? From typing. Have you tried using the text to speech, speech to text? It's not too bad. Basically anything that involves internet on Australia, nah, not worth it. Yeah, I've always liked the microscope idea. You can claim it if you want. Google already knows so much about you, mate. I'm a data analyst, and the amount of information they have on you is insane. Your voice is not even a little bit on the register. So don't worry about that aspect. Nah. As far as unacceptable data they've got on you, they've got plenty of unacceptable data. I think it's insane that we aren't suing every single corporation for holding onto our data. And like, can you imagine if like you had an ex-girlfriend who held onto that much data of yours? Yeah, I can remember when I was travelling to Kmart. I don't know if the American equivalent of Kmart is still existing or is even the equivalent, whatever is going on over there. There's a lot of dodgy business dealings that happen between Australia and America, so you never know what you're getting. But I went to Kmart, and when I came back there was a message on my Google-y thing saying, how did you enjoy your trip to Kmart? How did you find it? And so I answered, deeply disturbing. Please do not harvest my data, and then proudly display the fact that you've been snooping on me like a stupid puppy. Yeah, one of the things that you've got to remember if you're going to do that, I actually think that keeping your data secure is a really good idea. I think the most important thing is to turn your phone off whenever you're going anywhere, because most of the location data is the big thing. Bank data, location data, what you bought, when you bought it, and how you bought it, where you were when you bought it, that kind of thing. That's what they like. And they use handshake data, so the phone, it doesn't have to go to connect to a router. It just has to shake hands with the router. It just has to be in the vicinity of the router. You know, exchange a few friendly electronic greetings, a few not lovely bleeps and nothings in the ear. And then Google knows where you've been. And that's more important than your voice. Do I take my own advice? No. I keep forgetting to turn my phone off. It's so immensely useful. And I should do a video on this because my girlfriend got scammed the other day by a car company. They said that there was damage to the car and you have to pay for it, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. And they sent a photo of the car, you know, at such and such a time when it didn't have the damage, and now the car has got the damage. And I went to the creepy Google stalky maps, and I was able to demonstrate that we were not at the dealership at the time when he said we were. And so, yeah, we'll go to the ombudsman and all that kind of stuff eventually. But yeah, basically caught him out. Sleazy guy. I don't think I want to defame anybody on the YouTube because that's bad. Bad karma. Rental karma. Ha 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 ha. But let me give you a hint. If you're in Cardiff and you're not in England and you want to rent a car, maybe go to another suburb. Definitely if you're trying to rent a car in some place like the Australian Cardiff, that might not be a good idea. Not saying anything. And anecdotally, did you know that my girlfriend was scammed by a car rental guy? I suspect my live chat has decided to explode. That's alright. Seems to me that the sides of this opal are very, very lacking. That's alright. No, I honestly don't know where I got the idea from. You're as good a source of ideas as any. The only trouble is I had this idea that I've got a giant TV monitor just off the side of the road, and I thought the microscope would plug into it. No, doesn't do that. Well, just set myself back a few minutes. Just a little bit of a nick. Wait a minute. I always have fun, Don. And have a great evening and have a great sleep. More of the same tomorrow, and wish you every success, my friend. So this little green goblin is doing alright. That's Dr. Surdy. Oh dear. That's the tooliest thing to do. I only do that when I'm annoyed. That's Dr. Idiot to you, mate. Things to do with a PhD. Rub it in people's noses when you're angry. I think that ranks among correcting people's grammar on jerky things to do. Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, that is absolutely nourishing. Excellent. So, show it to you. We can't have the light behind it, we need to have the light in front of it so that it looks good. So that's our beautiful stone. And that's ready to be polished now. And that's ready to be, come on, you can do this. Alright. Move that one over to the ready to be polished section. I wonder if got one. It's not a Dr. Phil thing unless something is going horribly wrong. So, yeah, bring it on. Get this guy. No, get this guy. Here's one of these little intermediate problems. It started off a lot larger, this thing, and so the dopstick has ended up being too big for the stone. So what I'll do is I'll quickly cut the wax down on the other machine. Sorry about the absence of any showing you what I'm doing, but it's not exactly all that interesting. It's basically carving the wax down. I suppose I could make it more interesting by telling you that it's leg wax. So there you go. What I did was just carve this down a bit because I'll be going across here like that a lot, and it's inevitable that some of the wax is going to make it onto the sandpaper, but that reduces the life of the sandpaper. Well, on the machine anyway. I have a procedure by which I clean and reuse my sandpaper, which is good, but it is annoying. I don't do it all the time, so I'd much rather keep my sandpaper pristine, and the easiest way to do that is to keep the wax away from it. Having said that, if I need to, remember some of these stones are worth hundreds, so I will sacrifice a piece of sandpaper for the sake of a stone, no trouble. This one, I think a fair price for the stone would be maybe $100. If you go onto one of the opal websites, you'll find that maybe they'll be selling them for $300 or $400. That is also a fair price, but you know. The deal is, I'm happy with that kind of money, and how do I put this? I'm happy to say that the amount of work that goes into making a stone like that is worth $300 or $400. So either or, don't begrudge that kind of price for these kinds of stones. To get it in a setting, like a silver setting or a gold setting, it'll be $300 to $600 if you've got, for example, a pair of earrings. And for those who don't know, yeah, valuing opals is probably one of the most tricky businesses out there. You could see two identical stones, and one's worth an absolute mozza and one's worth nothing. Well, that's no good, is it? Oop, let's try that. Come on, there we go. There we go. Let's try this way, perhaps. Sorry about that, I just noticed that it was glaring too much. How's that? Is that better? I think so. For those across the pond, a storm is coming. We'll see if it develops. We're not quite in the storm season yet. Wow, that's a beautiful mirrored surface, and if you can see I'm not sure what you can see, but I can see some fun. So let's have a look. Does that frame it? It does, but it's very hard to spot it. So there you go. That's a beautiful little stone. Nice work. Okay. So, for those of you who can think back to a little while ago, I've got this guy. This is a belemnite. Bring it right up to you. Beautiful little stone. It's just sitting here, waiting for me to do it. A little bit. Okay, so let's grab this one, and I'll grab this one, and I'll grab these two. Let's just get things moving along. What I'll do after this is I will change our sandpaper actually, because I think I need to go on to the coarser grades to do some of these. What have we got here? Right. Now this one is very softly spoken, but I would say it's worth substantially more than $100. What I'm going to have to do is, notice that there's some stuff cut happening at the moment, so what I'll do is I'll have to finish off this one and then end the live stream. Many apologies, but well, things went quite well. I'll very quickly finish this guy off. there we go. Yeah, I just noticed that there's a few things happening at home that I've got to attend to, so I'm sorry about this. I'm going to have to end the live stream. But we'll have a look at this one quickly before we go. Look at that beautiful little stone. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end everything now, turn all the equipment off, turn the water down, and wish everybody a lovely, lovely day. Goodbye, everyone.